On this video, I'm going to be doing some troubleshooting here, or show you guys how to get your cut feeds or cut speeds correctly. So let's say if you run software or G code from like SheetCam or Fusion or whatever, and you transfer the file onto this, and this cut speed doesn't transfer from the G code to the actual controller, or the speeds are different, what ends up happening is that these are not synced together. So your software must be set to either metric or inch, and this controller must be also set to metric or inch. So they both have to be metric or inch. So in order to do that, and for those of you out there that don't know how to set one of these things over to the inch or metric, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So this is going to cover a lot of things, and what I'm going to be doing is going into the F5, which is diagnose, and then I'm going to go into F8, which is system def or define, and then I'm going to click on F3, which is define. It's going to ask for a password. All these controllers have the same password, which is 1396. You hit enter, and then it takes you into this all these options here. So I'm gonna go straight to F5, which is the first option, and this is where you change your settings. Now the first three, just leave those alone. Make sure that they're relative and a no on the top. Now your default unit, this is how you change this system to metric or inch. You click on enter and you pick whatever you're using. I'm using metric, so I'm fine with whatever came standard with this machine. So metric, and then the fitting short line, I have that to yes. I'm not even messing with that. There's going to be a no, and then you're going to get to forbidden F. Forbidden F is what allows this controller to read the feed, or actually the cutting speed from the G code that was rendered by your processor or whatever software that you use. So if you have this clicked onto yes, what ends up happening is the only speed or cut speed that you can use is what's set on the machine manually. Now if you want to use the software's or the feed that you set in the software, and it renders into the G code, you want to make sure that you click on no, because you don't want to forbid this option. You want to read all the cut speeds, and you want to read those cut speeds from the code, the G code that you're importing to this controller. So make sure, if you want to pause this, go ahead and pause it and make sure that your screen looks just like this. I'm not going to talk about the other settings. So after you hit all these settings and you correct everything, press F8, which saves your parameters. Now I'm going to go ahead and get out of this screen. I'm going to go back all the way out, and at this point what you can do is you can reset the machine. Just turn it down, turn it off, shut it down, restart it, and that parameter should be set. I'm going to go ahead into F2 to pull up a file, and I'm going to go into F2 again, pull up my files from my flash drive, and I'm going to click on my last file there, and this file is set in metric, and so is my controller. So this means that when I start to cut, it should have a feed speed at 100, which I did set on SheetCam. And it could be set on whatever else, like Fusion 360, which I mainly use, but just as a demonstration. So it should read at speed 100 when it starts doing its cuts. So let's go ahead and start the cut here. Hit enter, and it travels, and there we go. Even though the cut feed or the cut speed is reading 600 here, ignore that, because this file is going off of what you put in and off the software. So the real speed is right up here. It's 100. So if, let's say, if I import another file that's like inch, and even though my system is metric, what'll end up happening is I'll get the speed that was set on the controller instead of on the G code. And a way to tell also if your stuff is set up correctly is by hitting the F4 and F5 buttons, which speeds up the feed or lowers it. And if you click on that, which I'm doing right now, and it doesn't change the speed or feed, that means it's running straight from the G code and nothing else. So you don't have to worry about the machine hitting a wrong number, like a number 8 or a 1 or whatever, and it goes out of control and the speed just, or the cut speed changes. So right now it's doing everything from SheetCam or the G code rendered by SheetCam. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop my G code there, escape out of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and run a different file. So F2, and I'm going to run, it's the same sprocket, but the file is actually written in inch, and my controller is metric, remember that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up that file, hit the enter, and then I'm going to just click on start, and you're going to see that 100 changes, and it actually starts cutting what's set on the actual controller here, which is set at 1200. So I'm going to hit start, I'm going to hit enter. So as you can see right up here, 1200, it overrode the G code. And another way to tell is by hitting F4 or F5. If it changes, as you can see, the speed is changing. That means that it's not running off the settings that was brought in by the G code. Just because the controller and the G code, they're different. The software was, it rendered this file that I'm running right now in inch. So they both have to be synced to metric and metric or inch and inch. So that's one way how to correct the problem, is by going into the system, define and changing your parameter to the forbidden F to no, and you have to make sure that you're running the same input units. So inch, metric, metric. So that's pretty much that like takes away a lot of the problems for those people that, like, this solves a lot for those people that are having problems with their cut speeds not showing up correctly from the software. But anyways, I think I'll go ahead and leave it there. I hope this video helps somebody out there. I want to go ahead and thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one.